Physio's got such a high rate of burnout that it always begs the question, why? Why is it that the average physio lifespan is about 8 years? Why do grads leave the industry so quickly? And why do physios not stay in a profession that's highly sought after, difficult to get into, and hard to complete? Well, I really think the answer lies in how we view our career in private practice. Hey guys, I'm Leon the Physio. Welcome to the channel. Let's get stuck into it. Hi guys, welcome back. I'm Leon the Physio, and today we're going to go through the journey from new graduate to expert and how to avoid burning out and finding career prosperity, and how not to be one of those physios that bails on the industry just after a few years. So looking back on my own career as a physio, I noticed really early on that physio was really a young person's game. You don't see heaps of 40, 50 or 60-year-old physios working in private practice these days. And when you look at the job closely, you can see why. The hours are long, the nights are late, the mornings are early, and the work can be quite hard physically, mentally and emotionally. But there's got to be sort of more to the story because late nights, early mornings and hard work, they're part of lots of other jobs that see people in them for a long period of time. And I think it's because when you enter private practice, you're starting out at the same level of career as someone who's been in that industry for 5, 10 years. There is this problem in the industry because when you look at the setup of most private practices, there isn't a lot of room for career progression. That's because most private practices look like this. You've got the owner, the person who owns the place, pays the bills and is probably doing heaps of treatment themselves. You've got admin there as well to ensure that the day-to-day administration gets done. And then you usually have a team of physios who do the bulk of the treating of the patients, and they really ensure that there's enough money coming into the business to keep it moving. Now, the average private practice in Australia has 2.5 physiotherapists. So that's not a big organisation to climb the career ladder in. And generally, if you want to get more out of your role, then you need to do two things. Start your own private practice or buy into your current private practice. And so both of these scenarios come with massive downsides and potentially amazing upsides, but they involve a lot of risk and a real quantum leap to get more out of your work. So there comes a point in every physio's life where things are starting to get a bit stale. There's no room for promotion or career progression. So to satisfy that need for more in your career, you leave the job and potentially leave the industry into something with maybe a bit more structural room to move. That might be medical device rep or something like that. Which is a real shame because the work we do in private practice at its core is pretty cool. We get to hang out with people all day, have positive interactions with almost everyone, share our expert opinion, and overall really improve people's lives. So how do we solve the problem of career progression in physiotherapy? This is a challenge. Well, a few years ago, I thought the same thing myself, and I started to observe physios that had long careers in the industry, and I wondered why had they lasted so long. And what I realized was almost all of them had followed through with a few steps that led to them creating their own career progression within the businesses that they worked in or into their own business that they eventually owned. And from that, I really distilled that there's 4 things that these guys did. And so I want to share with you what I'm calling the 4 pillars of physio career progression. Now, the first one is be a good physio. So regardless of what career you want to have, the first step in your physio career is to get good at your craft. One of the things that I hate physio saying is stuff like, oh, I'm not good at necks or I'm not good at shoulders. The reality is in private practice, your job is to be good at everything. You're a real generalist. And of course, there are specialists in different areas and we each have individual interests as physio, but as a generalist private practice physio, you need to be good at everything because everything can walk in the door. Now, there's 2 parts to being a good physio. Part 1 is having the technical understanding and the skill to get your patients better. But the second part is being able to deliver that to a patient in a way that makes them take action and follow through with your suggestions. Because, like it or not, patients will self-discharge from your care when they're not better, or they're at a high rate of re-injury, or they don't think that the money they are spending is worth it for the value that you're providing them. Because there's a real difference between telling a patient about what their problem is and how to fix it, convincing them to take action and improve their lives. So the key word there is convincing. You need to be able to convince your patients to take their problems seriously. I'll do another video on this at some time in the future, but really you need to work on mastering the skills of persuasion to put your patients on a path of treatment to get them better. Because the risk is that they get half better, their problem comes back, and then really at the end of the day, you look like a bad physio because you haven't gotten them better. So to summarize that point of be a good physio, you need to know what needs to happen to get the patient better, and you need to know how to convince your patient to take that seriously and do what you're suggesting to get them better. The second point is be a busy physio. Now, being a busy physio serves a few different purposes. The first one is the financial reward. So most private practices will pay you on a commission basis that incentivizes you to bring in more money into the clinic. So being a busy physio will give you more reward for your time spent at the clinic and less white time in the diary. If you like, you can have a look at my breakdown of earning $100,000 as a physiotherapist. Because generally, if you see more patients, then you will earn more money. So that's reason number one to be a busy physio. Reason number two is the job stability. If you have a good, steady caseload of patients that are coming in to see you to help with their problems, then really your job is safe. As an employee, if you're bringing in a good amount of cash for the business, then clearly you're good at your job because patients are happy to continue to see you and you're a positive person to have around the clinic. But becoming a busy physio has its own challenges. So it doesn't just happen. You do have to work at the skill of becoming busy. Now again, this is a whole video in itself and I hope to one day put this up. But there are a few ways that you can become a busy physio and there are different levers that you can pull to help increase your patient base. So the first lever that you can pull is your current patients. So current patients can be amazing referrers into the clinic. You know, while you've been fixing their problems by being a good physio, convincing them to take their problems seriously and to follow through with what you're saying, you can also ask them, you know, hey, I've loved helping you out, and you know, I would love to help more people like you. You know, do you think you've got one or two people that you think would do well with this type of work? It's really awkward the first couple of times you do it, and it feels weird, but you will get better at it, and it will pay dividends long term. The other way that you can pull the lever on your current patients is by following their network back to a potential referral source. So lots of patients have a GP, a personal trainer, a chiro, a massage therapist, something like that, who might be in the local area. Get that info from the patient and follow those channels back to where the potential referrer might be to strike up a relationship with them so they can send you more patients too. The other lever that you can pull is your past patients. So a big number of patients, that I said before, will self-discharge before they're ready to go. So they might leave because they can't afford it, life got in the way, or they can't be bothered. And they're definitely worth catching up with to see how you can potentially reactivate them and bring them back into your care. The other lever that you can pull is your old patients. So there's a big number of patients that will self-discharge from your care before they're ready to go. They might leave because they can't afford it, life got in the way, or they couldn't be bothered. But these old patients are worth catching up with to see how they're going and potentially reactivate and bring them back into your care. The third lever that you can pull is cold, brand new potential referrers. So again, a whole video in itself, but there's a world of potential referrers that you can access by following two basic principles. The principles are be prolific, which means don't spend all your time and energy on one potential prospect. Spread your message out far and wide to as many referrers as possible. And the second part is be relentless. Once you have spread your message out, then continue to follow up with these potential referrers until you've got an answer from all of them. And that answer might be no, but that's the second best answer you can hope for, because that means you don't have to follow them up. So it'll either be, yes, we've got some patients for you, or and we're going to send some through, or no, this isn't for us right now. And your job isn't done until you've gotten that answer from them. Moving on to the third pillar, it is to take on responsibility. Now, there's a really great quote about responsibility, which is one that I heard from Winston Churchill, which is the price of greatness is responsibility. Now, this might not appeal to everyone. If you want a job with less responsibility, that's pretty cruisy, that doesn't require you to work that hard, then don't expect to get promoted or be put into a position that will open too many doors for you. So the idea of take on responsibility within physiotherapists is very different to be responsible. Take on responsibility requires you to live that first part and take it on. Seek out things that you can be responsible for. Now, it's obviously a given that just by the virtue of being a physio, that we have to be responsible for a number of things. Number one, our patients, our notes, our letters, our follow-up calls, being compliant with our regulatory bodies, and being responsible for our learning. Taking on responsibility is really about seeking out the things that you can be responsible for within your practice and being really in charge of that thing, being the leader of that thing. And examples of things that you can seek out within your practice are, being in charge of the PD diary, looking after a certain referral source, being in charge of the social calendar. Small things like that go a really long way in leveling up your skills and then just proving to the bosses at B that you're capable of taking more on. And it does this in a couple of ways. One, by highlighting our weaknesses. So because responsibility makes you do things that you haven't had to do before. And it also can highlight our passions. So being exposed to other areas of physiotherapy might illuminate some areas that are more interesting for you than just the normal day-to-day patient routine. You may discover a love of leadership or of admin or of process or marketing, by taking on extra responsibility within those facets of your practice. And it becomes a stepping stone for more responsibility. So if you've proven that you can do some responsibility in a small capacity, then you might be promoted to do more responsibility in a bigger capacity. So for me, it was about, when I first started, it was about being in charge of the PD calendar. I thought it'd be easy and very quickly realized that I'm not a very organized person and I struggled to get it all together. And as a result, it improved my skills in organization, my delegation skills, and improved my relationship building skills because I had to seek out external speakers to come into the clinic and often do a free PD. That brings us to number 4, which is the last one, which is create your own work. Now, this is my favorite of the 4 pillars of career progression in physio, because this is where you can quite literally build your perfect job. If you are good at what you do, busy with your work, can handle extra responsibility, then opening yourself up and looking for opportunities to create work is how you can curate your work around the things that you love doing. For example, if you love working with sporting clubs, but your clinic doesn't go out and doesn't do any sports work, then you can seek out these opportunities yourself, which will allow you to do the work that you love doing. Same if you love teaching, seek out and find your own students to teach, or inquire with universities on mentor roles and start up a teaching gig. Start up a teaching gig yourself that will allow you to teach, some percentage of your week. Now, this part isn't easy. Just because you want something out of your work doesn't automatically mean that it will happen. But chasing opportunities and working hard to create your own work means that you can make it happen for you. There's going to be more on this to come for sure. So keep a lookout for it. So to summarize, the key to a long-term physiotherapy success in private practice is, number 1, be a good physio, which at the end of the day means that you can get people better by understanding how to do it and convincing your patients to do what you say. Being a busy physio, which allows you to help more people and satisfy your own goals. Taking on responsibility, you learn how to manage bigger tasks and projects, and then create your own work to find work that you love to do. That's all from me today, guys. If you like it, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.